So as we visit today, folks are going to know neurosurgeon, they're going to know former presidential candidate, they're going to know maybe author. How does that all come together to what we wanted to talk about in terms of kindness, gratitude, and American civility?
Well, see, I think kindness, gratitude, civility are a major factor in success in any area that one goes into. And that's why with the Carson Scholars Fund, which is active in all 50 states now, not only do you have to be a stellar student academically, but you must have a very substantial indication that you care about other people and that you treat other people the right way. And we realize that if we're going to create the leaders for tomorrow, we need people who are not only smart, but people who care, people who are compassionate, people who are kind, because that will dictate the type of nation that we have, the kind of leaders that we have.
You ran for a year to be the leader of the nation. And it seems like what our country is doing is looking to people who point fingers and call names and all that sort of thing, not just running for president, but
Sure.
throughout our political process. Is there something that sticks with you about engaging in a campaign and now being out of it where you want to see that change and be more civil?
Well, I would love to see it. Unfortunately, you know, we're in what I call the WWE Raw stage. And we allowed, quite frankly, the media to dictate the kind of candidates. We weeded out the people who wanted to actually talk about the issues and to be more civil, and we gravitate toward, you know, the WWE Raw type candidate. That's been sort of a tradition of ours, quite frankly. And right now, it may be what we need because we've become so coarse as a society. We really have stopped emphasizing civility as much as we used to. And when you look at television, you look at you know, music videos, you look at all of these things, and it's all about me and how I feel and what's good for me, and, you know, tough if you don't fit into my world. And that's not the way it used to be in America. And I think it's high time for us to really start emphasizing that we're all in the same boat. And if part of the boat sinks, eventually the rest of it goes down too. So we actually are benefiting ourselves when we look after and treat compassionately those who are around us. The other thing that we have to keep in mind, particularly in America in 2016, 2017, is that there are people in this world who want to destroy us. They want to destroy our way of life. They make no bones about it. We do nothing but facilitate their job when we fight with each other, when we create division and strife between ourselves simply because there may be a disagreement.
Yeah. So one of the things that I'm reading about is your book Gifted Hands is included in this curriculum, if you will, for kindness literacy. So maybe explain what kindness literacy is and what kind of impact it's making.
Well, you know, we talk a lot in all of my books, quite frankly, about the tremendous benefits of kindness. Even if you want to look at it from a neurological point of view, it is well known that when you're at peace, the endorphin levels in your brain go up, they increase. And when you don't have a lot of anxiety and stress, it's much easier to learn. So that's why you see when a child comes from a happy home environment, and is taught to treat people in the right way, those tend to be much better students than the ones who come from an environment of constant strife and hatred and worry. So we actually do our children a great deal of damage when we subject them to all of those kinds of things, and we do them a great deal of good when we do the opposite. And it would do parents a great deal of good just to know that and to recognize how much of an impact they're having on the trajectory of their children.
So there are, of course, many children who don't get to choose what that family environment is like. Is there something that we can do on the educational side or in a school that can help change the trajectory of those kids' lives?
Absolutely. You know, I don't want to put it all off on the teachers and the administrators, but there's no question that they play a gigantic role. I don't think I've ever met a successful person who couldn't point to a teacher who was important in their lives. And I know in my own life there were teachers who played an incredibly important role. You know, my mother couldn't be there all the time. She got up at 5 in the morning and went to work, and she would get back home at midnight, working 2 and 3 jobs at a time, just trying to make ends meet because she didn't like the idea of welfare. And you know, there were teachers who really took an interest in me, were very kind, like Mr. Jake, my 5th grade science teacher, was the first teacher who ever thought that I was smart and nurtured me and helped me to put together a rock collection and helped me start looking at protozoa under the microscope and doing all kinds of things and helping out with the other animals in the laboratory. And that really changed my perception of myself and got me interested in starting to read a lot, particularly about science and math and things of that nature. And it made a big difference in where I went. Then there were teachers in high school like, you know, Mrs. Miller, who was Mrs. Schoenberger at first before she got married. And you know, she just took so much interest in making sure that I didn't go off on the wrong track because, you know, there were a lot of kids who did the wrong kinds of things in the inner city. And, you know, she just rode my back to make sure that I did not become one of them.
That investment of time and energy is the kindness component that you needed as a young person.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if those people had not cared, who knows what would have happened. And on a more subtle basis, Mr. Dokes, the band teacher in high school, you know, I was actually very good at the baritone. I actually won a scholarship to Interlochen, a music camp. And I would have been the first student from Southwestern High School to ever do that. And he said, and it would have been a big feather in his cap. He said, Benny, don't do it because you're going to be a great doctor and I don't want you to get distracted with the music.
How about that? I know one of the things coming up, Jacksonville area, is Journey to Kindness campaign. So that kicks off in 2017. And what I'm told is there's already kind of the results are up to 40% improvement in reading gains, up 88%. And what I'm hearing from Amy over here is we've only scratched the surface.
Absolutely.
This kind of campaign that we'll see in January, what's your expectation? What's your hope for what it would do in Northeast Florida?
Oh, my hope is that it would become contagious. And you know, I tell young people all the time, I challenge them to play a game. I say, see if you can find somebody who's not being nice and convert them by the way you treat them. And it becomes a real challenge for them. And they love it because, you know, it actually becomes an art form. You see somebody who's grouchy and you, oh, what's the problem? You know, I know something that can help with that. And just, you know, bring them a glass of water or something. It has a profound effect, not only on the person that you're treating, but also on you when you start thinking that way.
So what I'm reading about the program, the kind of impact kindness literacy can have is on family, it's on classrooms, communities, corporate cultures. Can it have an impact in politics, this world that you were in and now are not in, and probably wiping your brow to say thank goodness, right?
Well, you know, politics is a harder nut to crack, but it can still be cracked. And it's a matter of putting the right kind of people in office who actually care about the people that they represent and are not so much concerned about their own political career. Having been in that world, I can tell you that those people are few and far between. But it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be looking for them and trying to stack the deck with people like that, because it will make a major difference in the culture if we can do it.
I don't have a chance to vote for Ben Carson this time, but which one of those other candidates who are running for office, Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, Green, whatever, who's the kindest of them all? Who should I look for to fit this criteria?
Well, I happen to be supporting the candidate that I know a lot about, and tremendous stories about people that he doesn't even know, and has done amazing things like pay off their mortgage or put their kids through college. And you know, those are the kinds of things that I look for in a person. Also, you know, when I was on the campaign trail, and one of the debates, you know, I didn't hear my name announced, so I was standing there. Every other candidate walked by me except for this particular candidate. He stood there with me until they got the thing straightened out. He was the only one who went to the media and said, you know, why do you guys not want to ask this guy questions? Just because he's not mean and doing things, why are you trying to avoid him? All the others were perfectly happy that they weren't. And that tells you something about a person's heart.
So you didn't mention a name there.
I purposely did that because I want people to figure it out for themselves.
Yeah. I appreciate it. What did I not cover here that you wanted to talk about in terms of the kindness?
The advantages to you personally of being kind. I think there's a tremendous advantage to a kind person. It's much easier and much less stressful when you are kind and considerate of other people than when you're always, you know, trying to exact revenge or just not be pleasant. It's easier on you personally. And once people get over their suspicion of why you're being nice to them, I guarantee you they'll be nice to you.
That's our.
Ask that same question
Yeah.
one more time, only because we did have voices.
Right,
back
I
there.
got you.
Yeah.
I got you. That's maybe some of our cynicism. We're suspicious a little bit when somebody's nice to us, right?
Right.
Tell me that again. Just what are the advantages to being kind to someone?
Well, the big advantages are, first of all, it's easier to be nice than it is to be mean. It takes a lot more effort to be mean, just like it takes fewer muscles to smile than it does to frown. And once people get over their suspicion of why you're being nice, they'll be nice to you. And you can get so much more accomplished when you're being nice and they're being nice. It facilitates the relationships, gets rid of the suspicions, and you can become much more efficient. Also, you know, when it comes to trying to accomplish something, you know, I can remember, you know, many, you know, complex surgical cases. I keep the tension very low in my operating room. I'll allow anybody to talk who wants to talk, who has something to say. I don't mind people telling jokes, what have you. I like to keep the atmosphere that way, because when people feel that they're part of what's going on as opposed to subservient, they're much more likely to contribute. And a lot of times, they may notice something that you didn't notice. And in the long run, your society is going to be much stronger when everybody feels like a part of it.
Appreciate
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you might want to ask him, so you threw yourself into a political race, you don't have a political background, what would your advice be to someone who wants to do something, maybe somebody's telling them, no, you can never do it, or they don't think they can do it? What would your
Yeah.
advice be?
Yeah, and just direct that to me, yes, sir.
Okay. Well, you know, there would be a lot of people in our country who said, absolutely not, I would never get into politics because it's just too nasty, and why would anybody subject themselves to that? And certainly a lot of people said that to me. And they said, you're way too nice a guy. There's just no way that you can survive in that world. But I would say that if we capitulate, you know, to evil, everything will soon be evil. We have to fight, and we fight it with good. We fight it with kindness and decency. And it's much easier to give up and sit on your hands and say, there's no use. But what are the results of that? What happens to your children and your grandchildren and all of your progeny? And that's what you have to think about. And that's what I would say to those people. Think not so much about yourself, but about those who are coming after you. And think about the people who preceded us and what they were willing to do to give us what we have today.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay.
You